I got you.
I'd like to call the July 18th meeting of the West Des Moines City Council to order and invite you all to stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, please sign in.
Three members present, Your Honor.
Okay, Ryan, have there been any changes to the agenda?
No changes to the agenda per se, but I'll just note that there was a memo distributed by staff here in the dais regarding item 6B, Ashworth 88, just some language changes in that PUD ordinance.
Okay, and with that, can I get approval of the agenda as distributed?
So moved. Second.
Okay, please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, item 2, Citizens Forum. Anybody in the audience who would like to address the council on any item that is not part of either new business or public hearings, please come up to the podium here, give us your name and address for the record. And please, I will remind people, keep it civil and respectful and within 5 minutes. Anybody in the audience? Going once, going twice, seeing no movement. Anybody online that would like to address City Council, please hit *6. Again, not #6, or what kids know that today is a #6, but actually *6 and unmute yourself. Give us your name and address for the record.
Yeah, he's got it. You got it, man.
These guys like that hashtag. They all use it. Okay, seeing and hearing none, I will declare the Citizens Forum is closed, and we will now move on to somebody trying to unmute. Okay, Citizens Forum is closed. We'll move on to item 3, Mayor, Council, Manager Report, other entities update. We always start down here with Councilman Lotz, so we're going to start on the other end. We're going to start with our City Manager, Tom Haddon, for his report.
That's good, because there's no report tonight.
Short and sweet as always. Okay, Councilman Hudson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick items. First, we had a F&A meeting a couple weeks ago and had some discussion around incentives. And Mr. Mayor, as you've kind of discussed over the past couple of months, and actually even years as a council member, this concept that the city probably has a duty of making sure that incentives are in line with kind of the direction the council and the mayor have given the city staff. So given that, Councilman Lotz and I, we had a good discussion about 5-year deals versus 10-year deals when it comes to 100% sliding scale, et cetera. And the discussion that we kind of centered around was more and more around that 10-year deals are really more of a rarity. And when it comes to what a standard deal, and I keep using the word deal, when it comes to standard incentives that the city provides to developers and people who are, again, we're incredibly grateful that they want to come to the city of West Des Moines and develop in the city of West Des Moines, but understanding that maybe there should be a standardization. So we had a good discussion about that. On top of that, I did want to say I did get a letter in the mail. One more thing before I move on to Councilman McKinney. And this was from the West Des Moines Firefighter Association. And Valley graduate and Valley staff member and a West Des Moines former Citizen of the Year, Sam Kranovich, who is a friend of mine as well. He had sent this letter just describing what the West Des Moines Firefighter Association has done over its many years, and then describing that now that our firefighting, kind of the West Des Moines Fire Department, I should say, is pretty much up to a fully staffed firefighting department without really, I don't want to say the need for volunteers, but we're in a really, really good place when it comes to staffing. Thus, the West Des Moines Firefighting Association will be ending its 73-year run. And so I just wanted to take a moment to really thank all of the members of the association, both current and past, because for an organization like this to exist for 73 years, making a difference in our community, helping keep our community safe, as talking with Chief Lou earlier, providing our firefighters with life-saving and important equipment that maybe wasn't in the normal budget, but because we had an awesome association who could add like a little of the extra niceties to make, Chief Lou, was it thermal imaging that's really, really not standard across fire departments in America, right? And yet the association was so kind enough to provide those kind of things over the course of the many years. It's just things like that I just really, really want to highlight, because these folks are volunteers. These folks are putting their money and their time to providing extra life-saving equipment and difference-making equipment for our firefighters. And I just wanted to say thank you to the West Des Moines Firefighting Association for their 73 years, because I can guarantee you that they've saved lives, and I can guarantee you that they've made an enormous difference in our community since 1949. So I just wanted to say thank you, and thus will end my comments.
Thank you for bringing that to light. I would echo your comments, Councilman. And also, one more thing that I would say, I do appreciate the conversation that you and Councilman Lotz had at FNA. There's a lot of great projects that are going on down in Valley Junction, and I think that's why this discussion came to light. And I think the project that an individual's looking at doing down in Valley Junction, that they're asking for these incentives for, I think is extremely important and could be a great project. But you know what, we as a council made the decision that we were going to put our money where our mouth was when it came to preservation of our history down in Valley Junction. And that is why you, Councilman, and Councilman Lotz in your Finance Administration Subcommittee a while back took a look at the incentives we were providing for development down there, and why this council voted to make a difference in preservation by doubling the incentives that people can get, going from 5-year 100% to 10-year 100% for preservation.
And not destruction.
Not
Or
tear
tear-downs,
downs.
yeah.
Right. And I think that was an important step that the council took that spoke very loudly, that said that we are committed to preservation and preserving our history, and that if at all possible, we want to incentivize that rather than the tear down. And I think that had you gone the other way, as great of a project as this is, it would have sent the opposite message. It would have sent a mixed message to the people down in Valley Junction that we don't feel as strongly about preservation as we said we did when we put our money where our mouth is and made that change. So very difficult discussion, great project that this individual is bringing forward, but I appreciate all the work you guys did, and I think you made the right decision on that. So anyway, Councilman McKinney, sorry.
No, thank you, Mayor, and I guess I'll echo both of those points. First, with the West Des Moines Firefighters Association, I received a very similar letter, and I appreciate you bringing that up, and obviously very good work over the years, as well as the work in Valley Junction. I'd add, in addition to the economic development incentives, also the programs that we've got, the upper story housing program, the regulatory compliance fund, and allocating those in a manner that really promotes rehabilitation. So many good things happening down there. I guess, so thank you for that. I guess the only other thing I'd add is, the forecast is looking pretty hot over the next week, and it was this last weekend. So I took the family down to Raccoon River Park, went to the boathouse, jumped in a couple kayaks, and Sally is fantastic experience. I had not yet been out there on that, so in this heat, if you're looking for a way to escape it, the Raccoon River Park is fantastic. So.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about economic development and rehab and all that kind of stuff, but quality of life amenities, don't forget how important that is to not only letting people enjoy what we've got here, but economic development, workforce development, deciding where people live. So, Councilman Lotz.
I'll just go ahead. I don't want to talk forever, but the boathouse, my family is expert paddleboarders down there. We're down there every other weekend, so I'm so happy to have that built in the last few years. Thanks to you guys for that. I will say the only, to add to what Mayor Trimble and the other council members were talking to about Valley Junction, the preservation, I think it's really important. It occurred to me during that meeting that if we don't do the right thing in terms of incentives and in terms of managing it appropriately, we, even as a council, can severely distort market conditions in a place like that. That was really clear to me based upon that discussion. So if anybody's interested in that, take a look at the transcript from that meeting, and I'm sure you'll see why. So I think we did the right thing. I'm happy with it. There was some people that may have been disappointed in it, but it's the right thing to do for the community. So that's it. That ends my comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We will now move on to item 4, consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that any council person would like to pull?
Yes, 4I.
4I. Okay, anything else? If not, I would take a motion.
Motion to
move
approve the remainder.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
I'm sorry, that's right.
Yep, just on the remainder.
Okay.
You got 4I, is that the right one?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yes,
nope.
yes. I was just verifying.
Yep.
3 yes.
Okay, item 4I, a resolution to establish just compensation and approve acquisition of property, Grand Avenue West Segment 6DB sewer extension.
Yep.
Okay, Matt?
So, Mayor, this is an item that is related to a item that came before the Development Planning Subcommittee this morning. And I'll spare the details. Councilman Lotz was present for this, but the short version of this is, in this particular area, there's a question as to whether or not to extend a road that's currently stubbed out near South Tiburon Court. I think it's Bolero Street. And the property owner in this area, I think it was a Tice family, was concerned about where the road will cross. And here we have a sewer project that's proposed to go in this very same area. So I'm just wondering, Brian, I know we're kind of hitting you cold here, but I was reviewing this afternoon and I was looking at this map versus the various options that were discussed this morning during development and planning. Is there a relevance to the conversation we had this morning about the extension of this road north or south and where this sewer is being proposed here?
Brian Hemesat, city engineer. There's really, the development of that sewer was requested by the developer of Woodland Estates, as it was stated this morning. That has to go in the drainage way, essentially. It has to be in the lowest spot so that we can gravity flow the sewer to that line. It's in a different location. Will it affect the Tices? Yes, it will. We have to extend it through the Tice property to basically to that edge of that property, essentially. They're not going to be excited about having that there, and we've started discussions with them about it, but it's still yet to be seen on how far we're going to have to take it.
Okay. I guess my primary question is, for the benefit of a couple other folks here, there were various designs that were presented this morning at the development and planning meeting where this particular street may go. Mm-hmm. And there was not really a resolution as to the location based upon a lot of frustration that was expressed by many homeowners in the Tiburon area. Mm-hmm. Putting that aside,
yes.
Are you saying that this sewer would be going in this spot regardless of where the street ends up going, or are they linked somehow?
They're not linked. It
Okay.
would be, yep, and where we would put it, all the different scenarios where the road may go would not affect where the sewer is.
Okay.
So you're good to go there.
All right, that addresses my question. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you bet.
I'd go ahead and move item 4I.
Second.
So we got a motion and a second. Basically, Brian, what you're saying, not now that you got all the way back to the other room, but this road has no effect at all on the sewer, the placement of the sewer, or any of that?
Correct.
Okay. I appreciate that. I appreciate the discussion you guys had. I know I was contacted by some homeowners in Tiburon that were concerned that, this road, some of them did their due diligence. They knew that this road would eventually go through. And now when eventually we have I think the issue is when we eventually have Mills widened and you have a median there, they're only going to be able to take a right out of their neighborhood. They won't be able to take a left. And they were kind of counting on this road going through. I understand that there is conflict with the Tices and maybe the developer who wants a private cul-de-sac and no road going through. But, it's our job to work through these hard issues and come up with some kind of a compromise that makes sense. And, I don't know. As we work through where the sewer has to go, there's many different variables that will determine that. But I know that Brian and his staff will do the best job they can in trying to disrupt the Tices and the other developer as little as possible. So, all right, well, thank you for working through that. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
3 yes.
Okay, item 5, old business, the shops at Valley West, 3330 Westtown Parkway, amend the shops at Valley West Planned Unit Development Ordinance to allow and regulate professional commerce park development on the middle and west PUD parcels, West Bank. We've got an ordinance for approval, the second reading, waiver third, and adoption in final form. There are no outstanding issues, and this came through P&Z unanimously, and council approved the first reading unanimously with Trevilian absent. Can I get a motion?
Move to consider the second reading?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
3 yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map in the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 9, Plain Unit Development District pertaining to PUD district regulations and guidelines.
Move to approve the second reading?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
3 yes.
Move to waive the third reading and adopt in final form?
Second.
Please vote.
3 yes.
Item 5B, Holiday Park rezoning, amend the zoning map to establish open space and light industrial zoning, City of West Des Moines. Again, we've got an ordinance for approval, the second reading, waiver the third, and to adopt consistency zoning for the properties. And again, this also went through, much like the other one, P&Z unanimously, as well as council on the first reading with Trevilian absent.
Move to consideration of the second reading?
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
3 yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 4, zoning districts and map.
Move approval of the second reading?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
3 yes.
Move to waive the third reading and adopt in final form?
Second.
Please vote.
3 yes.
Okay, item 5C, ordinance amendment, amend Title IX zoning to allow beauty shops and barber shops in the Professional Commerce Park Zoning District, Penta Partners LLC. Again, we've got an ordinance for approval, second reading, waiver, the third reading, and adoption in final form. And all the same things apply. Came through P&Z unanimously and the council unanimously. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing the second reading, third reading, adoption in final form. And Trevilian was absent.
Move for consideration, second reading?
Second.
Okay, discussion? Please vote.
3 yes, an ordinance amending the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, Title IX zoning, Chapter 6, commercial office and industrial zoning district pertaining to allowed uses in the Professional Commerce Park District.
Move to approve the second reading?
Second.
Okay, please vote.
3 yes.
Move to waive third reading and adopt in final form?
Second.
Please vote.
3 yes.
Okay, item 5D, ordinance amendment, amend Title IX zoning to update regulations pertaining to parking requirements for bars and restaurants. City initiated. Again, we have approval, second reading, waiver the third, and adoption in final form.
Move consideration, second reading.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, Mayor, I'll just add, during the last council meeting, I had made mention to the potential impact or no impact to Valley Junction relative to this particular change, and appreciate the information I received. And so for the benefit of those that may be listening and those that are in the room, I understand that this does not impact whatsoever any changes with respect to parking in the Valley Junction area. Having said that, as a result of the communications, I have had further communications about perhaps ways in which we as a city can ensure that along Fifth Street there, for the folks that are residing either upper story housing or elsewhere in the area, that they are not parking there overnight. I've heard complaints about that. I think probably many people have. And so, I think that's something we're certainly looking at. And I know also that I received an email today about the upcoming steering committee and further considerations as to parking, something I'm sensitive to. I recognize that the studies have been done. It's just, something that I think it's important to keep a close eye on as we consider bars and restaurants in other parts of the city. With, for example, Ruth Chris, there was a very specific and detailed discussion about how many parking stalls are going to be required for Ruth Chris. With respect to the Jordan Creek Tower, there was also very specific and detailed considerations given to how many parking stalls are going to be at the Jordan Creek Tower. And so as we have those considerations relative to other areas of the city when new restaurants and bars come in, I think it's equally important that we at least consider the impact of all the development that's happening down there and the ability to park in the area. So with all that having said, I understand it does not impact Valley Junction.
Yeah, I appreciate your due diligence on this and all of the research that you've done, and, was a part of the email that you sent, making sure that this was not going to be impacting Valley Junction. I think it was well said. I think we need to definitely take a look at that. I mean, we've had Tesca go down there. Our staff has been down there. We've literally had people counting cars on various days, and I think, as you know, the results came back that we really don't have much of a parking issue down there from a data standpoint. Now, as you know, sometimes perception is reality, and people's perceptions down there is that we do have a parking problem during certain times. And I think you make a good point that we do need to be thinking of this in the future as different developments go on down there. And there have been some discussion on kind of out-of-the-box solutions to addressing some of the parking issues and that some of the residents have brought up. And I think we do need to look at that in the future and maybe have some future discussions in regards to that. So,
I appreciate your comments.
yeah, thank you for everything you've done on that. All right, any other comments or questions on this item? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Three yes, in order to amend the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, Title IX zoning, Chapter 15, off-street parking and loading pertaining to parking requirements.
Move approval, second reading.
Second.
All right, please vote.
Three yes.
Move approval to waive the third and adopt the ordinance.
Okay,
Second.
okay, please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, item 5E, amendment to city code, amend Title 5, police regulations, Chapter 3, animal code, to add definitions and regulations for community cats. And again, we've got an approval of second reading, waiver of third reading, and adoption in final form. And as has been on all of these, there's no change from the previous reading, and there are no outstanding issues.
Move consideration of the second reading.
Second.
Okay? Any discussion at all on community cats? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Three yes, in order to amend the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019, by amending Title 5, police regulations, Chapter 3, animal control, to add definitions and regulations for community cats.
Move approval of second reading.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Three yes.
Move waiver of the third reading and adopt in final form.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, that brings us to public hearings. Item 6A in your packet, we are being asked to approve a motion to withdraw the ordinance and have this item, it will be renoticed and brought back to the August 15th council meeting. Can I get a motion to approve a withdrawal of the ordinance amendment?
Motion to withdraw.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, item 6B. This is time and place for a public hearing to consider Ashworth 88, southeast corner Ashworth Road and 88th Street, amend comprehensive plan land use map to designate high-density residential and community commercial, and establish the Ashworth 88 planned unit development regulating development of senior apartments and future commercial and office, initiated by Curly Top LLC, David and Paula Sadler, MJM Real Estate LLC, and 843 88th Street LLC. Ryan, did you please read the date the notice is published?
July 5th, 2022, in the Des Moines Register.
And have received any written comment to this hearing?
The Planning and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 7 yes, adopted a resolution recommending approval of the comp plan amendment and PUD ordinance.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6B, please come to the podium here, give us your name and address for the record. And anybody that's online, at the same time, feel free to hit *6 and unmute yourself and give us your name and address. Okay, seeing very little movement in the audience. Anybody online at all? *6, please.
Hi, my name is Oren Probst. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead, Oren.
Yeah, my name is Oren Probst. I live at 912 84th Street, and our property backs up to the discussed area. We oppose the ordinance as it stands in the rezoning. We realize at some point this area is going to be developed, but I still don't feel that it matches what the land has to offer. And building offices, high density and commercial area, it's an odd location where it's at, as it doesn't have direct freeway access, and everything else around it, barring the freeway, is residential homes. I feel it would be better use, especially with the water drainage area that frequently floods, which I know can be somewhat mitigated through construction, but doing something like a park that would match the natural landscape, and then doing the rest as houses would be a much better use of the land, and it would also make sure that the area stays safe and that we don't lose any value in our property by having offices and high density near us. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody else online like to comment? Okay, hearing no one, I will declare the public hearing closed. We've got a resolution for approval of the comprehensive plan amendment, and we've got an ordinance for approval of the first reading. There are no outstanding issues, and I would just note that this came through development and planning 3 different times. Came through development and planning on March 7th of 2022, May 2nd of 2022, and July 5th of 2022, and it came through with unanimous approval. I guess, Lynn, could you come up and give us a little bit, for those that are not on development and planning, give us a little bit of a summary of what exactly is going on here. I mean, I'm seeing property owners. I know we've got, I think a city staffer here, if I'm not wrong, that is okay with this, and he lives right there. Can you tell us, just give us a little bit of an overview of what exactly is going on here and how this is changing?
Mayor, maybe as Lynn gets her materials there, when this did come before development planning, one of the things that we've made very clear was to better understand what neighbors in the area, both to the east and to the south, believed, and not just believed, but thought, and their perspective on whether they oppose something like this or not. And it was stated at our development planning that the immediately adjoining property owner to the east and to the south, who are not part of this PUD, are comfortable with the proposed change. But having said that, I'll lean on Lynn here.
Lynn Tweet, Director of Development Services. Just a little background on this area. This whole area right now is office designated on the comprehensive plan, as is the single family that the gentleman is calling from. That was an office area that was changed to single family. So it was the intent of this area to be more intense and to have non-residential uses in it. We have been down the path. This started with the parcel A on that map that you can see. That's the triangle piece. That is the high density. It's a senior, affordable senior project, apartment building, 34 units, roughly thereabouts. The balance of that area, we do not have any development proposals for at this time. This is really just setting up the area to make sure that we have a good network of the streets, that we're looking at the land uses and setting everything up. It would have been staff's preference that this whole area goes to commercial. We felt that we needed kind of this pocket of commercial in this area to kind of serve all this residential that's around this area. You have nothing until you go back to Jordan Creek Parkway or up to basically University Avenue or down to Jordan Creek Town Center area. So we generally try to get some commercial pockets in here. When we brought that proposal forward probably 4 or 5 years ago, that was kind of met with, no, thank you. We don't want commercial next to us. We'd rather have at least just office. So it has been backed off. We still have the commercial, but it will be kind of towards the western side, flanking along 88th Street there. It'll stay as office then as you move back to the single-family residential. And honestly, we don't know what's going to happen to the kind of the piece that sits between the existing single-family and the office or parcel C and D that we have designated on the map today. So it's a changing area. We honestly, like I said, staff felt it really should be more intense than what we're seeing here.
And really, you know, and I was like this as a resident myself. I mean, you see office, and I believe Orrin has got, you know, the C and D, which is the office that he's going to be essentially backing to? Or is that, because he's on 84th, right?
No, he would have this intervening property right
Okay.
here.
Yeah, that's correct.
Intervening-
That would say
intervening
this is the
property.
Single family.
And the intervening property is what? That's single?
Office.
That's
Land use.
office.
It is a single-family dwelling today.
Okay,
It's
but that will
existing.
be office based on the
It
changes
is
today.
office on the comprehensive plan. We are not making any changes.
We're
to
not
that
even
one.
changing that tonight.
No.
That one
So we're
stays
just,
as-
C and D is going to match that intervening parcel, as you call it, and be the same. So,
Yep.
so there's no change. I mean, and I don't know, I guess I've seen this over my 12 years on the council and now as mayor, that people have an issue with office behind them, but really that ends up being probably the best use back behind residential, just because people are going to be there from, 8 till 5, and they're going to be gone. I mean, there's not going to be a lot of activity back there after that point in time, but we're not changing anything. The piece that is behind Orrin today is office, and that's staying office, and D and C are just matching the piece that, so somebody can come in today and put an office building behind Orrin if that piece develops. We're just changing the piece next to it.
Actually, all we're changing is A and B.
Right.
This whole
right.
area is office today. A is going to high density.
Right.
B is going to community commercial.
Yep.
Everything else is staying the same. This
Sure.
is just setting out the regulations, kind of, if this area was to develop, how do they have to develop? What kind of streets do we have? What kind of land uses? What are the pedestrian networks, the streetscapes? That's just laying
Right.
out those details for development.
Okay.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to clarify all of that. And I do think the roads where they're placed are good. And I think, especially from meetings years ago where I was a part of the ones that said, no, thank you. I think we've made some steps in the right direction. I just think we could do much better is my point. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, look, you got a sympathetic council here, and we try to take all the residents' concerns very seriously and look into all of that. But, we're not changing the parcel behind you. I think your point is you'd like us to, but the action tonight doesn't change anything for you, really. You still have office behind you today. But anyway, I appreciate your concerns and bringing that forward, and please know that you have been heard.
Yeah, Orrin, if I can just speak to that for a second. First off, thank you for your comments, and I think I've had a very unique. I've had my eye on this piece of land for a little while, for a number of different reasons, but also not just because it's in Ward 2. And so certainly Lynn and I have had many conversations, homeowners on 84th Street, talking about 8580, talking to the Housebys who live there. had lots of conversations with so many different people in the area. Orrin, I can't remember if I knocked on your door last year or something like that either, but I'm certainly grateful that you shared your point of view tonight. And so what we're trying to do here is certainly keep a couple of things. As the mayor said, that long strip of land at 8580 Ashworth, I mean, that's not changing at all. And plus, the folks who live there are pretty satisfied where they are right now. They are not a part of this PUD. Then we talk about C and D. And, you know, I think a lot of us, a lot of this know this, but I just like to reinforce a couple of things that being in on conversations about this particular parcel of land, you know, I think it's okay if we have disagreements from time to time, and I think I probably have a disagreement with the staff, and you know what? That's all right. That does happen. And I like the idea that C and D are not changing, and A and B being further away. I do understand that Tim on letter A has just a really important project for seniors who, you know, we have certainly, I don't want to call it a housing crisis in the metro area, but you know what, people are looking for a place to live, and for seniors to have an opportunity to live there with state incentives, that seems like an all right spot. Furthermore, I think A is kind of farther away. As if we're talking about buffers, if we're talking about transitions between 88th to 87th to 86th to 85th to 84th, even though there will be no 87th or 85th Street, but that street that might go down the middle of A, B, and C and D, probably be 86th Street. I don't know if we call it something. But in any case, trying to keep those buffers in place, trying to keep transition areas in place, trying to keep high density and community commercial away from single family, trying to keep a transition in place so that, for example, I'll just be honest, like for C and D, I don't want to see high density there because I don't think that makes a lot of sense right next to single families. I don't. But that doesn't put this in place. It doesn't change that office. I don't know what will go there for C and D. Have no idea. Who knows? But I will say, having a conversation with Lynn earlier today, so council members up on the dais and Mr. Mayor, the little changes and additions that we make, thank you for making those, Lynn. I think it adds a point of clarification. And just to clarify what that clarification is, I think it's really, really important that until C is developed, that through road to Aspen just doesn't happen at all because it just doesn't make sense. My impression is that A is going to go first, and even though there's nothing on the table for B, my impression is also that B will likely, if there is, and this might be a while, my impression that B will likely go second, and this clarifies that if B starts developing, that still doesn't mean that that road connects to Aspen on the eastern aspect to 84th Street. For a couple of reasons. One, because there's nothing on C, but two, because that would go right through that long, skinny strip of land that's 8580, and certainly want to respect the property rights of those folks who are living right there. So that produces a lot of different challenges, not just because that's where Jordan Creek literally is. In any case, the point is if A and B develop, then yes, Aspen will go through from that future 86th Street to 88th Street, but until C develops, this memorandum basically ensures that until C develops, and even if C develops, considering property rights of 8580, that does not necessarily mean that Aspen will go through until agreements are in place with those property owners. So for the folks on 84th Street especially, they would not see any traffic until way, way, way down the road. And even still, this ensures that a couple of things have to be in place, et cetera, et cetera. Correct, Lynn?
Correct.
All right, and thank you for writing this up today to clarify. I'm sorry.
Folks, I just want to elaborate on what you just witnessed here. You have got a really fierce advocate for people that live in that second ward. And Orrin, I can tell you right now, this is not the first development that Councilman Hudson has really worked to understand and go to bat for the residents on. I've met with him on another development as well, and he really delves into it to make sure that his residents are well taken care of and thought of. So I promise you, I know that you don't appreciate being office. Again, we're not changing it, but you've got a councilman that is always looking out for you. So
Thank you for saying that, Mr. Mayor. And
I agree with you, definitely.
Yeah, well, I
Thank you, Warren.
appreciate you being here and appreciate your comments, and Councilman Hudson, appreciate you doing all the work that you do for your residents, so.
Thank you, Lynn. I appreciate this, appreciate that, and I appreciate allowing me to have a soliloquy on this fine July
Oh,
evening.
it was good stuff, all good stuff. Okay, and so we've got a resolution and an ordinance, we need to take them separately. First, can I get a motion to approve the resolution amending the comprehensive plan?
Motion to approve, and we're doing it consistent with the,
Consistent with what was handed out here on the dais, the memorandum.
Yep, second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, now we've got an ordinance for approval of the first reading. Somebody want to move that?
move consideration of the first reading.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Three yes, an ordinance amending the official zoning map in the city code of the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, 2019 by amending Title IX zoning, Chapter 9, Plan Unit Development District pertaining to PUD district regulations and guidelines.
Move approval of the first reading.
Second.
Okay, please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, item 6C, this is the time and the place for a public hearing to consider fiber conduit interconnect project, brown and relocated purple routes initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice is published?
July 1st, 2022 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience that would like to address the council on item 6C, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and anybody online, please hit *6 and unmute yourself and give us your name and address for the record. Okay, hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We've got two resolutions and a motion which we need to, which we can take together. There are no outstanding issues, and this came through Public Services Council Subcommittee July 11th with unanimous recommendation as well. Somebody want to make a motion?
Motion to approve?
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I just have a quick comment, and I just want to thank the engineering department. You know, as we look through these kind of, these different bids that we let out that are of substantial amount of money, what really struck me here is that when a bid comes in that has significant irregularities, that just demonstrates that you all are doing a great job at due diligence, pretty much. And so I just wanted to share my gratefulness for that, because when it comes to especially the conduit, which is a huge thing that our city is doing, we need to make sure we're doing it the right way, and we need to make sure that the people and companies that are, you know, doing this entire project are doing it in a way that's up to West Des Moines standards. So the fact that there's due diligence, I really appreciate that. So that's all I wanted to say. So thank you and the entire team,
Okay,
city staff.
thank you, Councilman. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, item 6E.
D,
Oh, sorry.
as in
Item
Doug.
6D, this is time and the place for a public hearing to consider Blue Creek Stormwater Detention Facilities utility location initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
July 1st, 2022 in the Des Moines Register.
And have we received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience who would like to address the council on item 6D, please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record. Anybody online, please hit *6 to unmute yourself and give us your name and address. Seeing no movement, hearing no movement, I will declare the public hearing closed, and we've got two resolutions and a motion, which we can take at the same time. There are no outstanding issues, and again, this came through Public Services City Subcommittee, July 11th, 2022, unanimously.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
Quick question.
Yes.
May I call up Brian, please?
Brian, you're being summoned.
So, Brian, after Mr. Hudson praised our financial due diligence on the previous item, I'm going to ask you, the estimate for this project was $84,000 and the lowest bid was $394. Can you shed a little light on the discrepancy and the difference there as to why there was such a big difference?
Well, the estimate was 310, 470. The difference was 800, or 884,000.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Then I completely read this wrong, so thank you.
Yep. But just to let you know, we did think this through. This is a project that is getting state revolving fund loan funds. And then it'll be reimbursed, and Tim can yell at me if I'm saying this wrong, but it'll be reimbursed through the stormwater fund in the future. So we're getting a really good deal on interest rates and that sort of thing with this project. One of the things that we were told by the DNR not to do is include this part of the project in that, or it will spur a bunch of extra things that we would have to do, which would cost at least that 84,000 or whatever that amount is or more. So what we decided was we would just continue on with this one. We probably wouldn't get any better bids in the future. So we thought we better move forward with this and then bid the bigger project later with less restrictive requirements.
I remember the DNR, or the money, the revolving money that came through for this kind of thing. We looked at that.
We talked about the F&A, didn't we?
Yeah, we talked about
and
that
which
F&A.
direction to go, and so
Yes.
I'm glad that this is
It's working out well. so
working out
far.
well.
So great job of due diligence and great job working on this. I misread the whole
Yeah,
thing, so thank you, Brian.
Yeah, you bet.
No further
Okay.
questions.
Okay, any other discussion at all on this? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
3 yes.
Okay, item 6E, this is time and place for a public hearing to consider 2022 street repair retainer contract initiated by the city of West Des Moines. Ryan, would you please read the date the notice was published?
July 1st, 2022 in the Des Moines Register.
And have received any written comments to this hearing?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, anybody from the audience or online that would like to address the council on item 6E, please come to the podium, give us your name and address, or hit star 6 to unmute yourself. Okay, hearing and seeing no one, I'll declare the public hearing closed. And again, we've got 2 resolutions in a motion, which we can take at the same time. There are no outstanding issues, and this also came through Public Services Subcommittee with unanimous recommendation.
Move approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion at all? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, new business. Item 7A, West Town Crossing, Plat 1, 2501 West Town Parkway, and 1675 28th Street, approved final plat to create 2 lots, Curly Top LLC. We've got a resolution for acceptance of surety and approval and release of the final plat. There are no outstanding issues. The applicant is in agreement with all staff recommendations, and this did come through Development and Planning on April 4th of 2022 with unanimous recommendation. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Approval.
Okay, is there a
Second.
second? Okay. Moved by Lodes, seconded by Hudson. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
3 yes.
Okay, item 7B, Timber Knoll at the Preserve, Plat 2, southwest corner of Southwest Grand Prairie Parkway and Southwest Meadow Rose Avenue, approved preliminary plat to create 15 lots for single-family residential development. Tom Whitman, Raccoon River Land Company, LLC. We've got a resolution for approval of the preliminary plat, and this did go through P&Z unanimously, as well as Development and Planning on a unanimous recommendation, and the applicant is in agreement with all staff recommendations. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion at all?
Actually, I had one quick question about this, and it's more of maybe a general question when it comes to projects that are on the border of a city. And so I guess my question specifically is, and Lynn's on her way up, so thank you for that. When it comes to property owners who are on the outside of city limits, and I'm looking at the map, and I just see property owners, I see a house just to the south of 370th Court. I'm just wondering, what communication does the city do when it comes to a project like this? And I'm supportive of the project. It's going to be a really nice neighborhood, but I was just wondering what communication the city does with people who are outside city limits.
Actually, Lynn Tweet, Director of Development Services, unless it is a public hearing item, we are not required to, nor do we notify surrounding property owners of a project going on.
Okay.
It's a slippery slope. If you start picking and choosing who you notify, it gets to be a little bit of a
Sure.
question, so.
And if it's a public hearing item, that we notify residents within 370 feet of the property,
Of the subject property.
subject
yes.
property.
Okay. That was just my curiosity on, because it was on the border, and
Yeah,
we'll probably see more and more of this as time goes on.
exactly.
Of course. Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, item 7C, termination of Westtown 3 Urban Renewal Plan. We've got a resolution and an ordinance which we have to take separately. We had a resolution for approval of the resolution terminating urban renewal plan and ending the urban renewal area. And we've got approval, the first reading of the ordinance number 1327, providing for the division of taxes levied on the taxable properties in the Westtown 3 Urban Renewal Plan. Can I get a motion for approval of the resolution?
Motion to terminate the urban renewal area.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Three yes.
Okay, now we've got an ordinance for consideration of the first reading.
Motion to consider the first reading.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Yes, absolutely. Anybody in the public that would like to address the council on these items can. So, go ahead,
Dr.
Vicki.
Vicki Long, Hill 136, 10th Street Valley Junction. On this item, I just wanted to know the action that's being taken and the reasoning behind it. I didn't get the package so that I could read and better understand it. But since it does involve an urban renewal area, excuse me, terminating it, I just wanted to know exactly what the action is and why.
Okay, I would say, Tim, do you want to come up and address this?
Yeah, Vicki, to be specific, the Westtown 3 Urban Renewal Area, sorry, Tim Stiles, Finance Director. We have not used this area since the mid-90s. We haven't claimed any increment. We haven't done anything with it since the 90s. But the Dallas County Auditor pointed out to me that we had never officially terminated the area. So he asked that we bring this forward so that he can cross it off as an open urban renewal area and officially close it, and that's what this action would do.
Tim, this entire urban renewal area is in Dallas County, correct? None of it's in Polk County?
I believe that's correct.
I know there's not a map attached, but I was just kind of looking through, and everything seemed like, for the most part, maybe it sneaks into Polk County a little bit,
I don't believe so. I
but
think it's
feels like it's in
and
Dallas
along the
County
Jordan
completely.
Creek Parkway area,
Yeah.
but like I said, we have not done anything in there for 20-plus years. It just never got taken off the list of active urban renewal.
Just basically technical cleanup.
Well, statutorily, it only had a 20-year life, so we couldn't do anything
do it
with it
anyway.
even if we wanted to.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Thank you, Tim.
Okay.
That answers, I didn't realize it wasn't in Polk County, so.
Yep. Well, thank you for the question, Vicki.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Any other questions, comments, Vicki, before we move on?
Not at all.
No?
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other comments, questions from the council? Okay, if not, please vote.
Three yes, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 1327, providing for the division of taxes levied on taxable property in the Westtown 3 Urban Renewal Area in the city of West Des Moines, Iowa, pursuant to section 403.19 of the Code of Iowa.
We were actually I think we just approved the resolution terminating, right? So
I
not
think you
the
already.
No, we're
you already
considering.
approved.
Oh, okay, I'm
So
sorry.
move for
I'm sorry.
approval of the first reading.
Okay, sorry, Ryan, my fault. Go ahead. Who moved it?
I did.
Okay. Okay, please vote.
I would love to have a second, but if you don't
Oh,
want
I
to, that's okay
I
too.
seconded it.
Oh, you did? Okay,
I'll
that's
second
great.
it again.
Oh,
Okay,
delightful.
we got a motion and a second. Motion Hudson, second Loads. Sorry, we're all over the place. Okay, please vote.
Don't leave me hanging.
3 yes.
Sorry about that.
He's leaving you hanging. I'm forgetful. I don't know. Okay, this isn't a pretty scene up here today. Okay, item 8, receive, file, and/or refer. We've got no items to receive, file, or refer. Item 9, other matters. Are there any other matters that any council person would like to bring up for the good of the
Nothing, no.
order? Okay, and we've got no workshop that I'm aware of. We've got no executive session. So with that, we will stand adjourned.
Thank you.